Sri Prabhupada's translated book distribution team. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, text number 22. Title of the chapter is Pure Devotional Service, Change in the Heart. It's 22. Hmm? Barhayite te go for the synonym. Nayane Naranam Lingani Vishnoho Na Irikshataha Ye Pado Pranam Tau Dhruvajanma Bhajo Kshetrani Na Anuvarjata.
Your verse is 23.
23. Okay. Because Chandan spoke about the plumes, right?
I know we did. Yours is 23. I know
Okay.
that. I know we did 22. Yes.
You spoke on like tree trunks,
Okay.
like tree trunks. I don't visit like.
Okay. All right. Let's go for it. Okay. So, Jivan Shavaha Bhagavata Angri Renum Na Jatu Martyaha Abhilabhyate Abhilabheta Yaha Tu Shri Vishnupadyaha Manujaha Tulasyaha Shvasan Shavaha Yaha Tu Na Veda Gandham Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Na Jati Martyo Bhilabheta Yastu Na Jatu Martyo Bhilabheta Yastu Shri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Shri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Shvasanchavo Yastu Na Veda Gandham Shvasanchavo Yastu Na Veda Gandham Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Na Jatu Martyo Bhilabheta Yastu Shri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Shvasanchavo Yastu Na Veda Gandham Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Na Jatu Martyo Bhilabheta Yastu Shri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Shvasanchavo Yastu Na Veda Gandham Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Na Jatu Martyo Bhilabheta Yastu Shri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Shvasanchavo Yastu Na Veda Gandham Please repeat.
So can this mic be connected to the camera?
Yeah, he's gonna plug it in.
जीवञ्चवो भागवताङ्घ्रिरेणुम्
Jivanchavo Bhagavatam Virenum.
न जातुमर्त्योऽभिलभेत यस्तु
Najatvartyo Vilaveti Yastu.
श्रीविष्णुपद्यामनुजस्तुलस्या
Shri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya.
स्वशंशवो यस्तु न वेदगन्धम्
Svasanchavo Yastu Negadantam.
You can't place it right in front?
No, because it doesn't stretch. It's a cable.
Why don't you move that? Oh. You can't move that.
No, because the TV is already like.
Please chant. Jivanto chava pagangirenum Najatu martyo bhilabheta yastu Shri Vishnupadya manujastu lasya Swasanchavo yastu naveda gandham Jivanchavo bhagavatangrirenum Shri Vishnupadya manujastu lasya Swasanchavo nastu naveda gandham Jivanchavo bhagavatangrirenum Ajatu martyo bhilabheta yastu Shri Vishnupadya manujastu lasya Swasanchavo yastu naveda gandham Jivanchavo bhagavatangrirenum Horrible. Ajatu martyo bhilabheta yastu Shri Vishnupadya manujastu lasya Sanchavo nastu naveda gandham. Mataji, please. Okay. Jivan, while living. Shavaha, a dead body. Bhagavat Ankri Renum, the dust of the feet of a pure devotee. Na, never. Jatu, at any time. Martyaha, mortal. Abhilabheta, particularly received. Yaha, a person. Tu, but. Shri, with opulence. Vishnu Padyaha, of the lotus feet of Vishnu. Manujaha, a descendant of Manu. Amen. Tulasyaha, leaves of the Tulasi tree. Shvasan, while breathing. Shavaha, still a dead body. Yaha, who. Tu, but. Naveda, never experienced. Gandham, the aroma. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the breathing dead body is a ghost. When a man dies, he is called dead. But when he again appears in a subtle form not visible to our present vision and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghost-like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples create a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offering by such impure ghosts. There is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments for the beloved. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. The first condition of devotional service to the Lord is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee. And this condition is fulfilled by the statement, reception of the dust of the lotus feet of of a pure devotee who has also served another pure devotee. That is the way of pure disciplic succession or devotional parampara. Maharaj Rahugana inquired from the great saint Jada Bharata as to how he had attained Jada Bharata as to how he had attained such a liberated stage of a Paramahamsa, and in answer the great saint replied as follows. Raghunaita tapasa nayati na chejaya nirvapanad grihadva na chandasa naiva jalangni suryair vina mahat pada rajobhishekam. O king, the perfectional stage of devotional service or the Paramahamsa stage of life cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the great devotees. Okay, is that like that? Okay. It is never attained by tapasya or austerity, the Vedic worshipping process, acceptance of the renounced order of life, the discharge of the duties of the household life, the chanting of the Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun with the cold water, with the hot sun within cold water or before the blazing fire. In other words, Lord Sri Krishna is a property of his pure devotees, of his pure unconditional devotees, and as such, only the devotees can deliver Krishna to another devotee. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Lord Chaitanya therefore designated himself as Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Anudasa, or the most obedient servant of the servants of the Lord, who maintains the Gopi damsels at Vrindavan. A pure devotee therefore never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servant of the Lord's servants, and thus the Lord becomes pleased, and only then can the devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaves stuck to his lotus feet. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of the Vedic literatures, but is very easily approachable through his pure devotee. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees, and once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. The conclusion is therefore that one should be serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly, and by one's doing so, by the goodwill of the devotee, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namane Nija Guru Harivanya Krishna Chitto Vichinto Parihita Pitrige Hadyanda Sangsara Kupaha Prabhu Bhajana Sukabdo Majjayan Swamsa Vishwo Bhuvi Jayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraham. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamniti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshtarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Chivakshasi Yasyasya Hridaye Samvitam Nrsimha Mahambaja Yasya Deve Parabhaktir Yata Deve Tata Gurau Tasyati Kadita Hyarta Prakashante Mahatmanaha. This is a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam helping us understand how important it is to not try the do-it-yourself spiritual process. So many people, they always like to do everything themselves. Especially they at least think that they're doing everything themselves, but there's always a philosophical fallacy in such a thought process. A person may think, oh, I don't need to go to school to learn how to whatever. Work a particular software. I don't need to go to school. I don't need a teacher. I learn it myself. So many people, of anyone who thinks like that. I learn it all myself. I don't need anyone to teach me. But then how do they learn everything themselves? They spend a few hours on YouTube watching someone's video. They spend a few hours reading someone else's book. So all that they're saying, I don't need anyone to teach me. They're actually being taught by a living person who's created some material from the research that they did, and they learned this knowledge from someone else. So if this is true, even on the material sphere, then it's certainly true even on the most transcendental absolute plane. So Srila Prabhupada is opening up this purport, speaking about how a person, according to, when a man dies, the breathing dead body is a ghost. So a person who has no devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no better than a ghost. Why are they no better than a ghost? Because they're envious as ghosts. Because they want to exploit. They want to exploit living entities. They want to exploit, and they want to do all these things. They want to create terror in society because they're ghosts. Why? Because they have no attachment for the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. They actually have no good qualities. Srimad Bhagavatam states, Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavanta kinchana sarvai gunai satta samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahadgunan manoratena sarita tato bahihi. That this verse says that, okay, I'll brush up my last line, but this verse says that a person who's a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has all the good qualities of the demigods. All the demigods have so many good qualities. A person who's a devotee of Lord Vishnu has all these good qualities. But a non-devotee has no good qualities. Harava bhaktasya kuto mahadgunan. Why? Because they're always on the mental platform. Always on the mental platform. Going from this side to that side, to that side, to this side, to this side, to that side. Why are they always on the mental platform? Because that is all they know. That is all they know. If you walk around thinking about this body, then we'll naturally think that, okay, if we get a little more advanced, then we may think we have this mind. But beyond that, the knowledge does not go. The knowledge does not go beyond that. Why? Because ultimately, this body is a machine. It's a yantra. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddishya janatishti brahmayan sarvabhutani yantarudani maya. That this body that we have is simply a machine made of material energy, and the Supreme Lord is present within our hearts, and He's directing all our wanderings throughout this material world. I was recently sharing this with a devotee, and I was realizing this also, especially after distributing books at the ATL Comic Con, because we had a blast for sure. But I was seeing so many people, they are just simply trying to put on different costumes and trying to act like they belong to a particular movie. No, it's not a movie. Animation, comic character. They try to act like some hero in a comic book or a villain in a comic book or someone somewhere in the middle. They try to act like this. Why? Because it's simply mental insanity. These people are insane. They're crazy people. They actually start to think they're like this. And it's one thing if kids act crazy, like you see children, they act crazy and they think that they're like a Superman but it's adults, fully grown adults, complete, like they have jobs, they do all these things, and then they studied in the university, they did this, they did that, they did this, they did that, And finally, when they get their time to blow their money, what do they blow their money on? On a big tube light, which lights up on an orange and a blue light, and call it a lightsaber. And they go and they fight with each other in the meantime during the weekends. What is the use of this tube light? Costs $600, right? I asked the guy, how much was that? $600. You spent $600 on a tube light. $600. Why? Because they're ghosts. These people are like ghosts. They don't know. What's not wrong with these people? We have to understand this body is a machine, and what we can touch, see, smell, and all these things. This is the gross part of the machine, or machine made of gross matter. And the mind is part of the machine. It's part of this machine which is made of subtle matter. And the ego is an even subtler point. The intelligence is an even subtler point of this machine. It has nothing to do with us. But this entire material world is simply running on the principle of sex life. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam says, Pumsasya mitani bhavametam taro raho hridaya granthi mahuhu ato griha sheta sutapta vittaya janasya mohoyam aham mameti. That this entire material world that we look around us is simply running on the principle of attraction between male and female. And the hearts of the living entities are bound up by this desire for sex. And the sex life increases from attachment to man and woman. It increases from that, then it increases to sex life. From the sex life, it increases to getting a home, getting a house, getting all these things. And the very conception of aham mameti, the aham mama bhava, this very concept, or this very feeling of thinking I am this body and everything belonging to this body is mine, simply increases because of this mundane sex attraction. Why? Because just like ghosts, they want to possess different bodies. These living entities also want to possess different gross bodies. And they want to act like this. Is a very heavy statement, actually. Prabhupada is opening up the purport with such a heavy... Why would you think like this? Wow, such a sweet verse. A pure devotional service in the heart. Pure devotional service, the change in the heart. Why are these words being spoken? Because we need to hear this in order for us to remove our attachment. If we really were to analyze and see all these things, then we'll understand that this body that we have, the male body or the female body, is simply a urine and a stool producing machine. This body has 9 holes. From all these 9 holes, at all times, horrible odors keep coming out. It's Krishna's mercy upon us that we can't smell it. Otherwise, we would kill ourselves. But the truth is this, that this body has 9 holes, and from these 9 holes, so many odors are coming out at all times. That's how this machine is. This machine that we're so attached to has all these nasty things coming out to fit at all times, in a bigger quantity or a smaller quantity. But it comes out at all times. And then there's another, let's just say for the male body, for the male machine, it looks at another machine, female machine, and this machine also has the same 9 holes. This machine also is a stool and urine producing machine. And this one machine is attracted to another machine on the gross platform. Then on a subtle platform also, there's a particular kind of machine may be attracted to a particular kind of a machine coming from a particular kind of culture or a make. And this attraction goes on. But in reality, we have nothing to do with this. We are not our body. This whole attraction between male and female is completely an illusion. It doesn't exist. The minute we start feeling attraction towards the opposite sex, know that to be illusion. It has nothing to do with you. You are not this body. You're being possessed by the ghost of lust. We're being possessed. Prabhupada is saying such a heavy statement. When a man dies, he's called a dead body. But when he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to a present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that a person who's not a devotee of Lord Vishnu is a ghost. Why is he saying this? Why is he saying such a heavy thing? Well, this is the reason why. We are possessed by this. We're possessed by this. There's no thought of actually who we actually are. Who are we actually? Jive Swarup Hoy, Krishna Nityadas, Krishna Tatashta Shakti Bheda Bhed Prakash. So, if we are eternal constitution, our constitutional position is to be eternal servants of Krishna. This is our constitutional position. There's no other function of the living entity than to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the beloved and the master of the gopis. That is our eternal constitutional position. But as living entities, we're made of Tatashta Shakti, or the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. And because we're made of the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, we can either choose to take shelter of the material energy, or we can choose to take shelter of the spiritual energy. So, if we take shelter of the material energy, then we start to think we are this machine, and everything that the subtle part of the machine tells us to do, we must do. And we are further drawn into illusion, increasing our heart's material desires, increasing the contamination of our heart, completely surrounding ourselves by lust, greed, and anger. But if we choose to take shelter of the spiritual energy, then we use this machine to go back home, back to Godhead, which is the purpose of this machine. This machine, called the human form of life, is awarded to us after many, many births and deaths. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 9, Text number 29 says, Labdvasa durlabam idam bahusam bhavante manusham artadam anityam apihadira turnam yatetana patet anumrityu yavan nishreyasaya vishaya kalu sarvatasyat. That this we have attained this human form of life after many, many births and deaths. So while we have this human form of life, we must do everything possible to go back home, back to Godhead, before this body, which is always prone to death, has not fallen down and died. We must not waste our life behind sense gratification. For sense gratification is available for the hogs and dogs that eat stool. Why? Because this is the purpose of this human form of life. The human form of life is to go back home, back to Godhead in this life. Right here, right now. That is the purpose of this life. Do not waste any more time. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire into the nature of the absolute truth. But do not stop at inquiry. Act on that platform. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Don't just be a Brahma Jigyasi only. You should learn to act on the platform of Brahman. And acting on the platform of Brahman is to perform devotional service. It's a very important point. Prabhu, maybe you can pull up this verse, Canto 11, Chapter 24. Text number, text number 57. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Etam sa asthaya paratmanishtam adhyasitam purvatamair maharshibihi aham tarishyami duranta param tamo mukundhagri nisheva yaiva. Translation. A devotee should actually have this kind of determination. What kind of determination? The determination is actually being explained in this verse, 11:24:57. You could have just typed it in the URL. Oh, you tried, huh? What do you mean? 11:23:57. Sorry, Prabhu. 11:23:57. Okay. So in this verse, it says, there should be the determination of the devotee. What should the determination be? I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nations by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This should be our determination. Prabhupada, in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, comments on this verse where he says, in connection with this verse, which is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11:23:57, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that of the 64 items required for rendering devotional service, acceptance of the symbolic marks of sannyas is a regulative principle. If one accepts sannyas order, his main business is to devote his life completely to the service of Mukunda, Krishna. If one does not completely devote his mind and body to the service of the Lord, he does not actually become a sannyasi. It is not. This is a really important point. It is not simply a matter of changing dress. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.1, it is also stated, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha. So sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnirna chakriyaha. One who works devotedly for the satisfaction of Krishna is a sannyasi. Do not think that, oh, I have to become a sannyasi to go back home, back to Godhead. We are not Mayavadis. We have to be fixed in the devotional service of Krishna. And by becoming fixed in the devotional service of Krishna, we'll actually like a sannyasi. The dress is not sannyas, but the attitude of service is. Become a sannyasi now, in the real sense of the term. Have that attitude of service to Krishna. The word Paratma Nishtha means being a devotee of Lord Krishna. Paratma, the Supreme Person is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Sachitananda Vigraha. Those who are completely dedicated to the lotus feet of Krishna in service are actually sannyasis. So dedicate your life to serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must dedicate our life for this service. There is nothing more dear to the heart than service to Krishna. There's nothing more valuable than service to Krishna. Krishna is our mother. Krishna is our father. Krishna is our most beloved friend. Krishna is our most intimate lover. Krishna is always with us at all times. Krishna is always with us at all times. He's serving us in so many different ways. Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is serving us in so many ways. At all times, Krishna is serving us. When we want to fulfill our material desires, Krishna is serving us. When we finally have spiritual desires, Krishna is still serving us. Krishna is always there. Krishna is waiting for us to go back home, back to Godhead. Every time. Krishna says, maybe this time you'll take to my spirit. This time maybe. This time maybe he'll turn to me. This time maybe she'll turn to me. This time. Krishna has been waiting since time immemorial for us to finally turn our faces towards him. So when we finally have turned our faces towards him, why waste time? Why make Krishna wait any longer? Has Krishna not waited enough for us? Have we not suffered enough in this material world? Do we really want to go back in the cycle of birth and death over and over again? No, we don't. Prabhupada continues, as a matter of formality, the devotee accepts the sannyas dress as the previous acharyas did. He also accepts dandas. Later, Vishwaswami considered, this goes into a more technical aspect of it. Sri Chaitanya, okay. They simply think, okay, this is an important point, Vishnu. I think you like this. The acharyas who advocate the Daiva Varnashram, social order of Chaturvarnyam mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, do not accept the proposition of Asura Varnashram, which maintains the social order of Varna is indicated by birth. I'm looking for another quote here. Anyway, I'm unable to find it, but I could just paraphrase it. That, we should understand that this is the real meaning of sannyas. This is the real meaning of devotional life. That a person can be a grihastha, a person can be a sannyasi, a person can be a brahmachari, a person can be a vanaprastha. Kiba vipra, kiba nyasi shudra kene nai, say Krishna tattva say Guru hoy. And a person, it does not matter what their social obligation is. A person can become a pure devotee of Krishna. He can actually teach everyone Krishna consciousness. Does not matter what their social obligation is, what their social position is. So, we have this human form of life which is very rare. And we finally come to Krishna's lotus feet. Therefore, we should not blow this human form of life. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says, Matirni Krishne parata sutova mitto pipadyeta grahavatanam adhanta gobir vishitam tamishram punas sharvata sharvananam. That there's some foolish people, no matter how much good instruction you give him, they will not accept Krishna consciousness. Why? Why? Because they have taken a vow to be stupid. They've taken a vow to be stuck in the endless hole of material existence. It's horrible material existence. And do not think that, oh no, now we're devotees. Now we'll definitely not be stuck in the endless hole of a material existence. No, devotees also. Okay, one always has to remember this. This purport, one purport, I don't remember. Maybe I can find it on Veda base. An easygoing life, Mitraman, can you find this? An easygoing life and Krishna consciousness do not go well together. Do not go well together or go ill together. Yeah? Right? Go well together? Yeah. This Prabhupada actually says this. Mitra, if you find it, you can let us know. That we should always remember this, that an easygoing life and a life in Krishna consciousness do not go well together. They don't go well together. Why? Because the Krishna consciousness is always an upward hill struggle. You got it? 2924. Mr. Nally. Oh, answers by citing the Lord's version. Shrijami tapasai vedam grasami tapasa punaha bibharmi tapasa vishwam virya me dusharam tapaha. Then I create this cosmos by penance, I maintain it by the same energy, and I withdraw it by all the same energy. Therefore, the potential power is penance only. Tapasya is, who is saying this? The Supreme Lord is saying this. And then we'll see this. There you go. Right after this question mark. There you go. An easygoing life and attainment of perfection in transcendental realization cannot go together. This we should remember. This we should remember. You want to cheat Krishna, you will be cheated by him. The Lord is more clever than any living entity. Therefore, he wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. How painstaking are we in devotional service? What are we doing for him? Only Guru and Krishna are the two people that can actually ask you, what have you done for me lately? The only two people can ask you, what have you done for me lately? Oh, Guru Maharaj, we went and we distributed 5,000 books yesterday. Okay, what about today? What about tomorrow? What about today? Why didn't you do it recently? Why? What happened? Guru can ask you this. He wants to see how painstaking the devotee is in devotional service. The order is received from the Lord, either directly or through the bona fide spiritual master. And to execute that order, however painstaking, is a severe type of penance. One who follows the principle rigidly is sure to achieve success in attaining the Lord's mercy. Hard pills to swallow, right? Hard pills to swallow. Distribute 1,000 Bhagavatams a day. Where are we? 50? What's the percentage? 0.05? Not even 1%? Shame on us. You should understand this. This is the order of the spiritual master. Establish Daiva Varnashram farm communities. Is it an easy thing? Can you go buy a Daiva Varnashram farm community from Walmart for $10? No. But we have to stick to it. This is the order of the spirit. You want to take the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee and rub it on your head? This is what it means. Can you find that the three most powerful things, substances are, you know which verse I'm talking about? Yeah. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antilila chapter, 23 maybe. But we should understand how painstaking are we to execute the order of the spiritual master. Distribute Bhagavatam says to Westerners. Let's get real. Where are we? Where are we? Shame on me, shame on everyone who's not doing it. Why aren't we doing this? Why? Because we're not surrendered enough. We're not surrendered enough. We are haunted by the ghosts of material desires. Is there time to think about anything else? No. But how often in the day do we think about this? And how often in the day do we think about everything else? You found it? Antya 16:16. We can pull this up and see. What is the most powerful thing in this world? Okay, before you pull up the translation. I know Vishnu and Mitravan Prabhu know this answer. What is it? Okay. Why? What is the other one? The remnants of the foodstuffs eaten by the great sadhus. Right? So 16:16, Antilila. I should have memorized the Bengali, but I'm not painstakingly following the orders of my spiritual master, therefore I'm in Maya. 160. Huh? What happened? Prabhuji, chapter 16, verse number 60. Found it? Okay, let's click that. So, what's the Bengali? Bhakta pada dhuli ar bhakta pada jal bhakta bhukta avashesha tina mahabal. It's pretty easy to remember actually. The dust of the devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of the food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances. These are the three most powerful substances. There is nothing more powerful than that. Remember the effect it had on you? I was pushing Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu to distribute a Bhagavatam throughout the entire marathon, but he would not do it because he was not painstakingly trying to do it. And then that morning, by Krishna's mercy, I had a bottle full of the water that washed the lotus feet of my spiritual master. And he took a sip of it, and lo and behold, he did it. You see? This is the power, the most powerful thing in the world. That's why, Bho Guru Charanaha. That's why we should always try to serve the lotus feet of the spiritual master. We must always try to serve the lotus feet of the spiritual master. We should understand that we must do everything possible to execute the orders of the spiritual master, no matter how hard it is to actually do it. What is the active principle in the life of a devotee? Anyone? What is the active principle? That's right. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in the life of a devotee. That's the active principle. What does active principle mean? What does it mean that we think about it like every year on his Avyas Puja day and say Hari Bol Gurudev and that's it? Or like we maybe think about it every now and then if we feel like it. If we don't think about it. No. It means that it's an active principle that our very existence must be driven by the order of the spiritual master. That's what it means. That's what it means. Our very existence should be driven by the order of the spiritual master to such a degree that we have no time to think of anything else. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana bahushaka shanantasya buddhayo vyavasayana. That we must have single-pointed, resolute determination to execute the orders of the spiritual master. There is nothing more to our life than this. There is nothing more to our life than this. This actually means rubbing the dust of the spiritual master on our head. This actually means drinking the water that's washed the lotus feet of the spiritual master. This actually means to eat the remnants that the spiritual master left behind. Doesn't mean that like if there's actually a plate of Mahaprasadam that the Guru left, we don't take it if we are initiated. But we understand that these things are the most powerful. Why are these more powerful? The Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Chaitanya Leela Amritapur, Krishna Leela Sukarpur, Duhe Mile Hai Sumadurja, Sadhu Guru Prasade, Tahaye Aswade, Sejane Madhurya Prachurya. That a Chaitanya Leela Amritapur, the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like a bowl of the most nectarian sweet rice. And what are the pastimes of Krishna? What are they compared to? Krishna Leela Sukarpur. Camphor. The pastimes of Lord Krishna compared to camphor. The minute, according to Chaitanya Charitamrita and according to what the cooks told me, I have no conception of this really theoretical knowledge for sure. Apparently, that the minute you put a little camphor in a really amazing bowl of sweet rice, the flavor explodes in your mouth. Like the flavor of that whole sweet rice explodes. So Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are like sweet rice and the pastimes of Lord Krishna are like camphor. So when both are mixed, duhe mile hai suma durja. That when both of them are mixed, the sweetness is, can't handle it. It's so amazing. Sweetness is really amazing. But how do you taste it? Sadhu Guru Prasade. The person who eats the remnants of the realizations of the spiritual master. And the devotees who are faithful followers of Srila Prabhupada. Sadhu Guru Prasade, Tahaye Aswade, then they can taste. Tahaye Aswade, Sejane Madhurya Prachurya. That's when we can taste. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says, Naisha Matistavad Rukramangrim Spishtyasyanartha Pagamo Yadartha Mahi Yasham Raja Padobhishekam Nishkinchananam Navrinita Yavat. What's the verse number for this? 7532, I think. Pull it up. 7532. When we read this verse, we'll understand. 7532, SB, Srimad Bhagavatam. It'll be so nice if you could get you the Veda-based app, Nally. That would make that's it. Wow, for the first time I got a verse number right. Yeah, Sprishashinartha Bhagamo Yadartha. Okay, so you please read the translation. I just quoted this verse. If you look at the translation, then we'll see. Unless it's smeared upon their bodies, the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined towards materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, in this way can one be freed from material contamination. Do we want to be free from material contamination? This is the way to do it. I'm not trying to sound like a Christian preacher, but this is the way, the truth, and the light to do. This is how you do it. This is the way to actually get the mercy of the Supreme Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. This is the way that we can actually get the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the only way we can do it. In this purport, I want to see this. Okay, yeah, wow. Prabhupada opens up this purport in such an amazing way, it'll like blow our minds. Becoming Krishna conscious brings about anartha apagamaha, the disappearance of all anarthas, the miserable conditions we have unnecessarily accepted. How many miserable conditions have we unnecessarily accepted? Can we think of any miserable condition we have unnecessarily accepted? One. Okay, what else? It's so obvious. I think I heard someone whisper something. Someone said something? Can't think of anything else but birth? Huh? What is the most miserable thing we've accepted right now? Enviousness to Krishna. But to our gross senses, what can we see? This body. It's such an unnecessary thing. It's such an unnecessary thing. We have the miserable condition. We've accepted we've accepted this body. Isn't that horrible? Like this body is so horrible. Now, how much pain is in the body? How much stress is in the body? How much pain is in the mind? Can we think about why did we do this to ourselves? Oh, Prabhupada, boom. Right there, Prabhupada says. The next line. The material body is the basic principle of these unwanted, miserable conditions. We've accepted the most basic, unnecessary, unwanted condition. Why? Because you're rejecting the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Isn't this the case? The entire Vedic civilization is meant to relieve one from these unwanted miseries. But persons bound by the laws of nature do not know the destination of life. As explained in the previous verse, Isha Tantram Urudhamni Baddha. What's the previous verse? Nate Vedu Swartha Gatim Hi Vishnum Durashraya He Bahiratamanina Andayata Ande Rupagiyamana Stepi Isha Tantram Urudhamni Baddha. That they're conditioned by these strong modes of material nature. We're bound up, we're being dragged around everywhere by these merciless brutes, by these merciless dacoits named lust, greed, and anger. They're bound us up and they're dragging us everywhere, pounding us to the ground, pummeling us, exploiting us every single time, and we do not want to let go. Actually, we feel like, oh, they bound us up, but we are being bound up. We are voluntarily binding ourselves up by all these things. It's completely useless. The education that keeps the condition so bound life after life is called materialistic education. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained that materialistic education expands the influence of Maya. Such an education induces the conditioned soul to be increasingly attracted to materialistic life and stray further and further away from liberation, from unwanted miseries. That's why, Prabhupada wanted Daiva Varnashram Dharma. It is hard, but it has to be done. This Guru Ravagya against following Srila Prabhupada's instructions is the main reason why the Krishna consciousness movement is in the position that it's in right now. We have waged a war against Prabhupada's instructions. And because we have waged a war against Srila Prabhupada's instructions, nothing auspicious can come about. Let's come to our senses. Let's come to our senses. Let's do the real thing. But if we choose not to do the real thing, we will suffer. Instead of sending our kids to the schools where beefeaters and drunkards are teaching us all these horrible things, why don't we actually establish Daiva Varnashram Dharma? Why don't we establish Daiva Varnashram farm communities? Why don't we do this? Why? Because we want to have an easygoing life. Prabhuji, it's easy. Send your daughter to school. Send your daughter to high school. What will happen to her? Do we want to imagine? How many of us have been to public school in America? Is it a very secure place for your children? Why? Why, Prabhu? What's wrong with that, Prabhuji? Everyone does it. Is it a very secure place for your daughters? I heard that in your voice, yeah. No way. But no, Prabhuji, it's easygoing life. Relax. And then of course I'm also a gopi. I'm a karmi on most of the time, but when I'm with the devotees, I'm actually a gopi on the inside. Very good. Cheat yourself and cheat everyone else. One may ask why highly educated persons do not take to Krishna consciousness. The reason is explained in this verse. Unless one takes shelter of a bona fide, fully Krishna conscious spiritual master, there is no chance of understanding Krishna. No chance. Do we have more faith in Prabhupada, or do we have more faith in the donkey scholar in Harvard University or something like this? Who do we have faith in, Prabhupada or this donkey? The educators, scholars, and big political leaders, worshipped by millions of people, cannot understand the goal of life and take to Krishna consciousness, for they have not accepted a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, in the Mundaka Upanishad 3.2.3, it is said, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo na medhaya na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. One cannot become self-realized simply by having an academic education, by presenting lectures in an erudite way, pravachana labhya, or by being an intelligent scientist who discovers many wonderful things. One cannot understand Krishna unless one is graced by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only one who has surrendered to a pure devotee of Krishna and taken the dust of his lotus feet can understand Krishna. First, one must understand how to get out of the clutches of Maya. Then only that the only means is to become Krishna conscious. But now, we were even thinking, like we know this Indian couple who have a very intelligent son who is extremely inclined to Krishna consciousness. Extremely inclined. He's like 14 or 15, he goes to high school, but he's a complete no-nonsense character. Complete no-nonsense. He's such a sweet, such a well-behaved, such a gentleman, such a gem of a boy. Such a gem of a boy. And his parents make sure that he's always doing something productive in his material life, more or less. Most of the time, at least 16 hours of the day, he has to be studying or doing this or doing that, or going to drum class or going to karate class and going to whatever I don't even know all these stupid things that they make him do. And they know how to manage his time, and he's willing to work hard and do all these things. I asked him to ask his parents. His parents kind of like us. They kind of don't like us sometimes. But they kind of like us because they know that we're doing the real thing here. But of course, there'll be people who oh, see how puffed up they are. They're saying they're doing the real thing. Well, we are. Sorry. We're following Prabhupada's instructions. So, I asked this boy to ask his mom, your mom is putting you in so many classes and doing all these things. Ask her. He chants I think 4 rounds a day or something, or maybe 2 rounds, because he has no time to chant his rounds. So I asked him to ask his mom, what do I need to do in my spiritual life? What do I need to do in my day, in my life every day, in order for me to have enough time to chant 16 rounds? I asked him to ask his mother that question. They didn't like that. They didn't like that he asked such a question. Why? Because the goal of life is being missed. It's more important to be educated, to have a good job, to have this or that, to have all these materialistic friends and have all these other horrible things. It's more important for all this than serving the lotus feet of Krishna. No wonder where we are. And to become Krishna conscious, very easily, one must take shelter of a realized soul, a Mahat or Mahatma, whose only interest is to engage in the service of the Supreme Lord. As the Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mahatmana Sumam Partha, Daivim Prakriti Mashitaha, Bhajanti Nanya Manaso, Gyatva Bhutadam Avyayam. O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Therefore, to end unwanted miseries of life, one must become a devotee. This verse we just quoted. One who has unflinching faith, devotional faith in Krishna, manifests all the qualities of Krishna and the demigods. And then this verse also we quoted. Yasya devi parabhaktir yata devi tata guru tasyaite katita hyata prakashante mahatmanaha. This is the most important verse in all the Vedic literatures. It's from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Last verse, yes, 63. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Very important. The most important verse in all the Vedic literatures is for us to have unflinching faith in the lotus feet of the spiritual master. There you go. This verse is full, is completely in line with this verse. Yam e vaisha vrinute tena labhyas tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanum swam. The Lord is obtained only by one whom he chooses, who he himself chooses. To such a person, he manifests his own form. These are Vedic injunctions. One must take shelter of a self-realized spiritual master and not a materially educated scholar or politician. One must take shelter of a nishkinchana, a person engaged in devotional service and freed from material contamination. That is the way to return back home, back to Godhead. So how do we know who to take shelter of? Who is following Prabhupada's instructions painstakingly? By nature, the orders of the spiritual master are going to be hard for us to execute. Why? Because they go against the grain of our material life. They go against the grain of our very existence. They go against the grain. Work on it and pray for it. Anything is possible by the mercy of Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. Work on it and pray for it. We should work on it and we should pray for it. What valuable thing is there in this material world other than serving the lotus feet of the spiritual master? Is there anything? Let the whole world burn. Let it go to hell. We don't care. Let us serve the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Let us take his instructions very seriously. Because by doing so, all inauspicious things will leave our heart and will leave this world. All inauspicious things. There is nothing auspicious to this material world. This material world is dukhalaya. You know what Matsya Prabhu was quoting Prabhupada recently. That the Himalayas are called, why are they called Himalaya? Hima means snow, and Alaya means where there's a lot of snow. That's why they're called Himalayas. And this material world is called Dukhalaya. Why? Because there's a lot of misery in this material world. There's only misery in this material world. You know, do not be a foolish romantic liking this person and that person. There is no love in this material world. Love is for Krishna. There is no love in this material world. Do not waste your time being infatuated by this or that or this person or that person. Do not waste your time. Have faith in Krishna. Krishna will provide. Krishna will take care. Put everything in God's hand and you'll see God's hand in everything. Do not come in the way of yourself going back home, back to Godhead. Do not come in the way of others going back home, back to Godhead. Better to simply take shelter of Krishna. Krishna will take care. Krishna always takes care. There's never been a point of time that Krishna never took care. Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. You declare it boldly, O Arjuna. My devotee will never be perished. You declare it boldly. Why? Because if devotee says, Krishna has to do it. Krishna has to do it. Were the Pandavas vanquished? Were they vanquished? They were fighting against, what were the odds that they would win? What were the odds? Who won? Pandavas won. Pandavas won. Why? Because Krishna says, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashiti. Krishna will not let his devotees perish. Krishna will not. Whatever desires we have, Krishna knows. Krishna is in our heart and he will fulfill them. Just perform pure devotional service. Just perform pure devotional service. There is nothing more to life than this, really. There's nothing more life than this. There's nothing. What is there? What is there? You know, we think this is there, that is there. So many beautiful things are there. But they're not there. What is so beautiful of this material world? Tell me. What is so beautiful? You like to die? Anyone here likes to die? Anyone here likes to get old? Anyone likes a pain in the neck or pain in their back? Anyone likes to have indigestion? No? Anyway, what's so amazing about this material world? What's so nice? What's so nice? That big building is nice. Big building is useless if it's not engaged in the service of Krishna. There's nothing nice. I'm just trying to pull up this verse from Narottam Das Thakur. Okay. So Narottam Das Thakur says, Se more pranadan, se more abharan, se more jivena jivan, se more rashanidhi, se more avancha siddhi, se more vedhira dharam, se brata se tapa, se more mantra japa, se more dharma karama. He says that The lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami to Narottam Das Thakur, they are the perfection of rasa. They are the perfection worthy of attainment. You want to know something worthy of attaining? The thing which is worthy of attaining are the lotus feet of the spiritual master. The thing worth attaining are the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. These are worth attaining. That is the greatest goal. There's nothing more to life than this. They are the very law of Vedic scriptures for me. Why are we doing what we're doing? To attain the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Why are we doing what we're doing? They are the meaning of all my fasts. You fasted on Ekadashi, right? Fasted on Janmashtami. You fasted on Gaura Purnima, you're going to be fasting. Fasting on Narsimha Chaturdashi. Sometimes you're traveling Sankirtan and for some reason Prasada may not be there. We fast sometimes, unfortunately, misplanning actually. But they are the meaning of all my fasts. And penances. We perform so many penances, right? Distributing books is a great penance. Talking to karmis is a great penance. Dealing with lawyers is a great penance. I'm sure editing books is a great penance, right? Cleaning the deity's paraphernalia is a great penance. Singing the garlands is a great penance. Always being engaged in Krishna consciousness is a great penance. But this is the meaning. And my silent uttering of mantras, we chant a Gayatri mantras. Why? To ultimately attain the lotus feet of the spiritual master. They are the basis of religion and all activities. By the purifying process of favorable devotional service, one will attain perfection. And with these two eyes, he will be able to see. His transcendental form is shining like the moonlight in my heart, and my heart therefore shines and reciprocates. Now, Tandas Thakur is saying this, that the form of Srila Rupa Goswami is shining like moonlight in his heart. And my heart therefore shines and reciprocates. In other words, the ordinary moon lights up the night and it illuminates other objects. But the moon of the effulgence of the form of Sri Rupa Manjari shines into the heart and makes the heart also shine back to the spiritual sky. This moon shines not only in the night time but in day and night. And what did Narottam Das Thakur say in the end? Tuva adarshana ahi, garale jarolo dehi, shirodina tapita jivan. Ha ha rupa koro doya, deho more pada chaya, narottama loyalo sharana. He says, your absence from my vision is like a dose of strong poison. And I will suffer till the end of my life. Narottam Das Thakur says, please give me your mercy and the shade of your lotus feet. Aren't we chanting this every day? Ha ha Prabhu koro doya deho more pada chaya. Why are we doing this? Why? The lotus feet of the spiritual master are the life and soul of the living entities. The life and soul of the devotees. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Vandon Mui Savadhana Mate. That the lotus feet of the spiritual master, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma, they are the way to attain Kevala Bhakti. Not Mishra Bhakti, not Jnana Mishra Bhakti, not Karma Mishra Bhakti. They are the way to attain Kevala Bhakti. So what do? Vandon Mui Savadhana Mate. We very, very meticulously and with great attention serve the lotus feet of the spiritual master by following his instructions. You want to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam? Shushusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. That by following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master and serving him whose heart is freed of all vice, by serving the devotees whose heart is freed of all vice, one will actually get Vasudeva Kataruchihi. You will get, Ruchi means what? What does Ruchi mean? Taste. Taste. Ruchi means taste. And Vasudeva Kata means narrations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How will you get this? How will you get this? You will get this by serving these great souls, by serving the great devotees, by serving the great devotees of the great devotees of the great devotees of the great devotees. Parahamsa varam paramartha patim patito dharane krita veshayatim yati raja ganaif parisevya padam pranamami sada prabhupada padam. Parahamsa varam paramartha patim. That Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he is
A Paramahamsa, not a Paramahamsa, he's a very unique Paramahamsa. Can we say the? No, maybe not. But he is one of the greatest Paramahamsas, Parahamsa Varam, Paramarthapatim. And what is the greatest Paramahamsa ever to descend on this plane? What did he do? He came to give Paramarthapatim. He came to give us a Paramartha, the greatest benediction of all times, the greatest wealth of all times. He came to give us the greatest wealth. What are those wealth? What is that wealth? The lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami. He came to give us the greatest wealth. Paramartha. Patito dharane krita veshayetim. And how did he do it? How did he come to save the fallen souls? Patito dharane. How did he come to udhara, to lift up the patitas, the most fallen? How did he do it? Krita veshayetim. He took the garb of a mendicant sannyasi. He took a garb of a great sannyasi. Patito dharane krita veshayetim. And what is a significant characteristic of him? Yati Rajaganais Parisevya Padam. That the great hordes of the Yatindras, of the Yati Rajas, of the king of sannyasis, the great hordes of all of them worship his lotus feet. Such is a personality of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Such a unique personality. We have him in our line. We have the great fortune of being his grand disciples. Therefore, the lotus feet mean everything to us. There is no other thing to do in life. That's why this beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I remember I memorized it a long time ago, and then I was recently reading it and I remembered it again. There's this beautiful verse. Lord Shiva says, glorifying. He prays to Krishna for this. He makes a really beautiful prayer. Where he says, how am I forgetting this? Darshanam no dikshunam dehi bhagavatarchitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanam. This is 424. I'll pull it up. It should be Sarvendriya Gunanjanam. This is such a beautiful verse. This is the most beautiful verse, actually. Actually, every verse is the most beautiful verse. This is a really beautiful verse. So if you see this over here, this is 424. Okay, yeah. 424:44. Darshanam no didrikshunam rupam. You found it? 424:44. Darshanam no didikshunam dehi bhagavatarchitam rupam priyatamam swanam sarvendriya gunanjanam. It's such a beautiful verse. My Lord, I wish to see you exactly in the form that your very dear devotees worship. You have many other forms, but I wish to see your form that is especially liked by the devotees. Please be merciful upon me and show me that form. For only that form worshipped by the devotees can perfectly satisfy all the demands of the senses. Yes, our senses are dragging us here and dragging us there and, this and that and this and that. But Lord Shiva is praying, Dehi Bhagavatarchitam. Please give me darshan of that form where the great Bhagavatas, the great devotees, do archana too. Please reveal this form to me. There may be so many beautiful things in this world. But nothing will cool our senses like the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. Lust may be attacking us and all these things. The form of the opposite sex may be attracting us and all these things. But if we simply remind ourselves, Ati komala kanchana dhirga tanum tanu nindita hema manala madam madanarvuda vandita chandra padam pranamami sada prabhupada padam. If we simply remind ourselves that the beautiful form of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the hue of beautiful gold. It has a hue of gold, molten gold. The very form of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Ati komala kanchana dhirgatanam. Millions and millions of lotuses are shamed by the beauty emanating from his toenails. And he has such a moon-like form, such a beautiful form. Even if we simply remember the form of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, where is there room for everything else? Where is there room for anything else? There is no room. Nijajana pariraksha daksha meenakshi laksha Pishunam ati vitirnam trahimam kama girnam tava gunakriti rupam neta karnadi range pratayutamam divyam tandavam krishna drishte. the most beautiful form of the spiritual master. You know, we request the most beautiful form of the spiritual master to come and sit in our hearts. Because when the form of the spiritual master sits in our hearts, it performs, if we simply meditate, and if we simply, what is that? Nija jana pari raksha, daksha meenakshi laksha, pishnamati vitinam trahimam, tava guna kriti rupam, that your qualities, tava guna kriti rupam, your form, and everything, your qualities, everything about you, let them have a festival in my ear and my heart. Tava guna kriti rupam netra karna adirange. Let my eyes have that festival of your darshan. Why? Pratetu mama divyam tandavam Krishna drishte. Why? Because the very form of the supreme of the spiritual master in our hearts, if simply by constant meditation upon the instruction of the spiritual master, we'll do a Tandava Nitya on our hearts. He'll do a Tandava Nitya on our hearts. And Tandava Nitya is a dance of destruction that Lord Shiva does. The very form of the spiritual master will do a Tandava Nitya on our hearts. And then all the unwanted things will be completely vanquished and destroyed. So this should be our goal. We should always, always, always serve the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So I'll end the class here. If there's any questions or comments, we can take them now. 4 minutes. Sorry. No, it's too less. You don't have anything. Okay. Anyone? Yes, I would do. You want to turn this around?
Just to go back to the point about the lightsabers, I was thinking like the $600 is like a lot.
Yeah.
Like the materials are so attached to sense gratification, but their like lives are so backwards. But maybe we should like do some statistics and see like. We could do some statistics and see like how many lightsabers these people sold that weekend, and like in comparison, and like slowly ramp up. Maybe not slowly. You want to do it really quickly, but like ramp up our Bhagavatam distribution.
Yeah.
Because they're probably selling hundreds of these lightsabers.
Yeah. Totally.
They're just like totally misled and misguided. It's just something I was thinking about.
Yeah. With the sword of illusion, they slash off all their chances of going back home back to God. But with the sword of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can slash off all their attachment to this material. Good point. Anything else? Mataji? Okay. I told you I was going to share 3 minutes early. Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Taking on the world, Shri Prabhupada.